Hello, my name is Stephen Marsh. I'm the founder and creator of Pinkster Gin, and welcome to the virtual Pinkster Gin tasting. Now, you should have received a pack like this, and in that pack you would have received 5 miniatures, our triple Juniper, our Pinkster Gin itself, our new Pinkster Spritz, in this case Elderflower and raspberry, Pinkster Gimlet, delicious cocktail, and the Hedgepig, Wild Bullace and Quince liqueur. Together with mixers, you should have 4 mixers. You should have the new Fever Tree Mexican lime soda, ginger ale, Indian tonic, in this case the light version, and aromatic tonic, together with a mini jar of our gin jam and a sachet of our gin jam cocktail. Plus, you will have received a leaflet with details of all the other bits and pieces you're going to need for the tasting. So, just to recap on those, you're going to need some raspberries. I've got fresh here, but frozen work just as well. Ice, you need plenty of ice. I've got glassware, so I've got wine glass. I've got shot glasses and tumblers. You're also going to need a knife. I've got fresh mint, fizzy water, cloves, an orange, a lime, a peeler, some measures, and a bottle opener. And that's pretty much all you're going to need for the tasting. And we are going to start the tasting with the triple Juniper, for which you are also going to need the Indian tonic, and the orange, and the peeler. So we'll start with the triple Juniper. So triple Juniper is what we make first, and the reason we call it triple Juniper is we put 3 times as much juniper into this as normally goes into gin. It's a very, very dry London dry, a classic London dry. So, but I'm conscious of the fact that you're all probably gagging for a drink now. So let's get some liquor on your lips. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open it. I'm going to put some into a shot glass, and I'm going to suggest that you then raise the shot glass to your nose. I want you to sniff the aroma, and when you do that, you should get a fairly hefty dose of juniper. And some of you, if you've got very advanced taste receptors, you may pick up a few other things, but really it's juniper is very, very definitely predominant there. And then have a sip of it. And swirl it around your mouth, and then go. You don't want to don't take a gulp, just a little sip, and let it sit on your tongue. There's so much juniper there. It's really, really quite intense. I think really delicious. It's very smooth, and but the mouthfeel that you're left with, and the mouthfeel, another professional phrase, which describes the flavour left in your mouth. The mouthfeel very, very heavily junipery. So what we're again going to do is that, because when you taste gin professionally, you taste it 50-50 with water. I actually prefer to do it like this, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some ice in the glass, and I want the ice to do 2 things. Firstly, and this sounds self-evident, doesn't it? I want the ice to lower the temperature of the liquid. Secondly, I want the ice to melt slightly. I want it to dilute the spirit. And what happens? Something happens on a molecular basis, and I'll spare you the science. But the water that comes off the ice opens up the spirit. So you swirl that around in your glass, and if you look at it, you will see the ice cube melting and diluting the spirit, and then have another sip. And it's not quite so intense. It's opened it up. Still, I'm getting wave after wave of juniper, and that's there you are drinking a very, very dry London dry neat, not getting any burn, very, very smooth, but wave after wave of juniper. And if you've got very good taste receptors, you might at this stage be picking up some pepper notes. But everybody's taste receptors are different. So some people will get it, some people won't. Don't worry if you don't. And that is as as dry a London Dry as you're going to get. Now, London Dry is technically a gin that hasn't been touched post distillation. This hasn't been touched post distillation, and we, as I said earlier, we call it triple juniper because we put 3 times as much juniper in as normally goes in. And the reason we do that is that this is the base we make before we make Pinkster. We've actually, we've only really just recently started selling this, a little bit of this, on the back of tastings like this. Traditionally, normally we haven't sold it. This has been what we make before we make Pinkster. I think it's absolutely delicious. I have to say I drink quite a bit of it. I think it works really well. Now, I think it works very well with the Indian tonic. In this instance, I have a can of the. The trouble with these little cans is that they are not that easy to open. So I've got the light tonic here, and I'm going to throw a little bit of the light tonic in. I tend not to try to dry them. I personally prefer 1 to 2 bases, one part spirit to 2 parts tonic. And if you have another taste of that, you might need to top up your glass with gin. I'm sure some of you have already guzzled it, so don't worry about it. Just top it up, start again, and it makes a really, really good classic gin and tonic. Now, the definition of vodka is a pure, clear grain spirit. Definition of gin is a pure, clear grain spirit, predominantly flavoured with juniper. So effectively, gin is a flavoured vodka. I have to say, I often think of vodka as a raw ingredient. It's just waiting to have juniper added to it. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to garnish this. Now, garnishes I think are really important. There's several sort of basics on garnishes. Generally, a garnish that's on the surface is there to enhance the flavour experience. A garnish that is submerged is there for aesthetics. What we're going to do here is we're actually going to take some orange peel. Now this is really effective. There's so much flavour. There's so much flavour in the skin. So I'm just going to take a little swatch of the skin, and then I'm going to twist it. I'm going to twist it over the top of the glass, and in doing so I'm bursting all pores in that skin, and then I'm going to push it in. Now, when those pores are burst, they have scattered the orange essential oils over the surface of the liquid and the rim of the glass. So then when I raise the glass to my lips, I get a mighty orange, waft of orange as I do that. And any, in fact, it works the same with any citrus peel, because there's so much flavour in the peel. It really sort of imparts its flavour to the liquid. I think that works incredibly well. I think there's a really good gin and tonic, and we are now starting to sell it largely on the back of demand from tastings like these. So I hope you enjoy that as much as I do. We're next going to move on to Pinkster Gin itself. Now we're going to try Pinkster several different ways. So don't pour it all into one glass at the beginning. So as we tasted the triple juniper, we're going to have a taste of Pinkster, and we're going to again open the miniature, and I'm going to pour some into a shot glass, and I'm going to raise the glass to my nose, and I'm getting a lot, I'm getting a lot of sweetness on the nose. When you consider that you've just tried the triple juniper. This is the triple juniper with additional botanicals, fresh raspberries and two other botanicals. But there's a very there's a lot of sweetness on the nose. You're not getting a heavy juniper hit that you've got before. There is juniper there, and but it's a very pleasant aroma. Then have a sip. And swirl that around your mouth, and you will get juniper. You'll get raspberries. You'll probably get successive waves of juniper and raspberries. And if you've got very good taste buds, taste receptors, you will pick up some pepper notes in the tail. Again, very pleasant mouthfeel. And they are drinking it neat. This is not really designed to be drunk neat, but it's really you do pick up a lot of flavour like that. And then as before, what we're going to do is we're going to put some ice in the glass. And I want the ice to open it up, and then we're going to try it with tonic. But we're actually going to try it with two different tonics, and I'm going to show you how to make a gin jam cocktail and a gin jam mocktail. First of all, we're going to taste the liquid by itself. So, having let that dilute a little bit, have another sip. And it's opened it out. Again, I'm getting a lot of juniper, I'm getting raspberries, they're coming in successive waves, and it's very pleasant. We're not a London dry because we do a secondary maceration and we use fresh raspberries. All the raspberries we use are grown on a farm about 5 miles away from where we make Pinkster, which is just outside Cambridge, and we only make Pinkster during the English raspberry season. So we start in June and we finish in September, October time. Depends upon the weather and how long the season is. You can get raspberries earlier. They tend to be grown under glass. We find they don't have the right flavour profile for us. We have about a 16-week production schedule, so we're very busy in that summer period. And I started making gin because I used to be a wine drinker, and then I developed a stomach problem, and I had a problem that if I sniffed alcohol, I felt really ill, and so I stopped. Turned out I had a yeast and sugar problem. But you go to your doctor and say, "Doctor, I've got a drinking problem," in that I can't. They tend not to take it quite as seriously as you think they should, but it was identified. The fifth doctor I saw identified it, and he advised cutting yeast and sugar out of my diet, which I did for 2 years. That's much easier said than done, but when I'd done it, he said, right, we can start reintroducing things, and we can reintroduce alcohol, but you can only really drink gin or vodka, so clean white spirits, because they don't have sugar or yeast in them. And I thought vodka was really boring, having had a bland diet for 2 years. The last thing I wanted was a bland alcohol. I thought gin was absolutely fantastic. I decided I really liked juniper, but juniper is a very bitter botanical. It doesn't go with food, and so I set out to make myself a gin that I could drink with food. I had no intention of doing this commercially. This was purely so that I could have a drink of an evening, and I wanted something clean and refreshing that I could drink all evening. And after about four and a half years, I hit upon this recipe. I'd been through the fruit bowl. I tried every variation. I've been up to about 16 botanicals in total. We're only 8 botanicals in this, and I knew I'd got it right because I hadn't changed the recipe for 3 months, and I kept serving it to friends who kept saying, "This is delicious. You ought to do it commercially," and I kept saying, "Have you any idea how much time, effort, and money is required to to do this commercially. Anyway, a couple of friends did then persuade me and put their money where their mouths were, and so we launched Pinkster in 2013. Here we are in 2021, 8 years later, and we sell Pinkster around the world, and it's proved to be quite popular. So I'm very pleased with that. So now what we're going to do is I can show you our summer serve. So what we're going to do is add some Indian tonic. You've already had some opened. I'm going to put a bit of Indian tonic in there again. I'm not going to over tonic it. I like them fairly strong, and then have another sip. Now, that's much closer to what you're expecting as a gin and tonic. The colour comes from the raspberries. It's only very faint in the glass there. It's much stronger in the bottle, but I'm still getting a very pleasant mouthfeel. And I made this because I wanted something I could drink all evening. I wanted something clean and refreshing, and that's what I've got. I drink it with food. It goes particularly well with fish, white meats, and so on. So it's very versatile. Now to garnish this, and our summer serve to garnish this, we're going to garnish with a raspberry. Now a raspberry I put in there. It looks great. It's submerged, but it's there for aesthetics. We're also going to garnish it with spanked mint. Now, you've got some mint, we're going to do the mint trick. So what I'm going to suggest you do is you take half a leaf of mint and you pinch your nose and put the mint leaf in your mouth. Chew it and then unpinch your nose, and it's only when you unpinch your nose that you get the aroma of mint. And that is because the essential oils that give off the aroma of mint, the taste receptors for those essential oils, for the mint flavour, are olfactory, not throat-based. So, which is why we spank the mint. Now, I couldn't believe my luck when I discovered that the technical term for bruising mint was spanking the mint. I've even been on the BBC talking about spanking the mint. My mother was so proud, and to do this, you put mint leaf on the palm of your hand and just do that, and then because it's a small glass and a big mint leaf, I'm gonna tear it, and I'm gonna put the mint leaf on the surface. So that looks great, it's very aesthetically pleasing, green and red, and then when I raise the glass to my lips, I get a wonderful aroma of mint. And that works incredibly well. A lot of ice, summer's day. Frankly, that's a really good gin and tonic. I'm still tasting juniper. Juniper is still predominant, but the undercurrents of raspberry, the sweeter notes in raspberry. We don't add sugar to it. We've only got 0.7 of a gram of sugar in a 70 cl bottle. With 1.1 gram of sugar per litre of Pinkster. We don't add sugar, and that sugar that is in there comes from the raspberries. It's fructose, it's not added, it's entirely natural, and it works incredibly well. So then that's our summer serve, and it's frankly delicious. That's how I designed it to taste like and to drink like. So what we're going to do, I'll show you next, is our winter serve. And I describe it as a winter serve, but actually I have to say it is a serve that we use all year round. And this is, so again with I'm going to put some more Pinkster into another shot glass. I'm going to add some ice. And this is where we're going to add the aromatic tonic. And the aromatic tonic has some spices in it that I think actually work incredibly well with Pinkster. And just as Fever Tree do some fantastic tonics, they also do Elderflower tonic. We are on countless bar menus up and down the country with Elderflower tonic. I think it's absolutely delicious. But this is our preferred winter serve. You've just tried our preferred summer serve. Our winter serve. So I'm going to put some aromatic tonic in there, and even have a quick taste of that. It's really very nice. It's a really good combination. Now to garnish that, we recommend using some orange, a slice of orange. So I'm just going to cut this. Take a little slice of orange. In fact, I'm going to take, because it's such a small glass, I'm going to take a quarter slice. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to stud it with a clove. So I've got some cloves here. Now, you smell it, absolutely fantastic. There's nothing, when you get closer to Christmas, nothing says Christmas better than cloves. But actually it works incredibly well. I'm just going to put it in the glass. And cloves are one of those botanicals that actually are very quick at giving off their flavours. And I think it works incredibly well. So it's a really delicious drink. It's really easy to drink. Works. It's so easy to put, so easy to do. Very different. You compare the summer and the winter. They look very different. They taste very different. I think that, I hope you'll agree with me. I think they're both delicious. But of course, I'm entirely biased because I make them. Now, when we finish making Pinkster, we are left with the raspberries, and we're very careful with the raspberries. A lot of them we when we're finished, we drain the tanks. We're left with the raspberries. We take them out, and a lot of them, and actually I think I've got some here. I do indeed. So a lot of them we put into jars and sell as boozy berries. These are fantastic as a pudding ingredient. And 28%, so you have to treat them very cautiously. Mixed with other things in a summer pudding, absolutely superb. There's the great in cocktails, lots of ways to use them. We've even got a boozy berry cookery book, so absolutely superb. We don't waste anything. But a lot of the raspberries we use, and a lot of them aren't in good enough shape to put in jars. So I'm just going to close this because the background will be distracting and the light will be wrong. But a lot of them we turn into gin jam. So we had a little jar of gin jam in the pack, and people often ask me, where do I use gin jam? Well, frankly, use it wherever you would normally use jam. I put mine on toast. I know they go very well in cakes. People put it in brownies, just as they put the boozy berries in brownies. It's a great, wherever you'd use jam. Absolutely delicious. 2.5%, puts the tipple in your tea time, the booze in your breakfast, and frankly, you'd have to eat an awful lot of it before it interfered with your ability to drive in the morning. So give it a go. We were asked, we when we run bars, we actually have a very good gin jam cocktail, and we were asked by an airline that I'm not allowed to name, but it's a flag carrier, and they asked us if we could replicate our gin jam cocktail on board, and so we decided to put our gin jam into sachets, but we didn't add pectin to it in order to get the jam to set, because it's got alcohol in it. The WI don't necessarily approve, but but we do add some pectin to assist its setting. So I thought what we'd do is we won't add pectin, so we know it's very runny. We've actually we've tried to remove as many of the seeds as possible. We put it into sachets, and we make a gin and tonic very much as I did with our summer serve. So it's gin, it's ice, it's tonic, and then I just tear open the sachet, squeeze the contents into the glass, give it a stir. Absolutely delicious. You've got one of these in your bag, in your pack. Well worth trying. Now, also makes a really good mocktail. So if for some reason you're not able to drive, and you still want to flavour some drink, just try that with tonic and ice and pour it in. Absolutely delicious mocktail. And again, I'd garnish with mint. I'd garnish with raspberries. Absolutely superb. And so really versatile. We've actually now brought out. We have a winter version. And we sell it by the bottle. So we not just sachets. We've got our gin jam cocktail in a 600 600 gram bottle, and we have a winter version. The winter version we add allspice and orange zest as well. This has lemon juice in it, so we add orange zest and allspice. Absolutely delicious, fantastic as an ice cream sauce. Very versatile. So do give the sachet a try. But in the meantime, I hope that you've liked the two Pinkster serves here, and we're going to move on now to another Pinkster product. We're going to look at the Pinkster Spritz. Pinkster Spritz. Now for this, we're going to need Pinkster Spritz. We're going to need the Mexican lime soda, a lime, and a knife and a bottle opener. So Pinkster Spritz. It's a relatively new line for us, and we're often asked why we call it Spritz. Well, if you ask somebody what they mean by a Spritz, if you'll forgive the pun, if you distill down what they mean, generally they are referring to something that is lower in alcohol, with fewer calories, and that is precisely what this is. It is 24% ABV, and it has a single measure, 25ml measure of this. This particular one has 40 calories. Our other variety, other flavour, the raspberry and hibiscus, has 37 calories. Not very many. And we make it, it's partly from the byproduct of making Pinkster. When we finish making Pinkster, we're left with the raspberries. As I explained earlier, we put them in jars, sell them as boozy berries. We turn a lot of them into jam. When we take them out of the tanks, there's some liquid left. They sit in that liquid, and they release their contents, and it's a mixture of raspberry juice and gin, and they sit in that liquid until we're ready to turn them into jam or jar them as boozy berries. We don't need that liquid when we make the jam, so we're left with it, and this is one of the things we're doing with it. So it's a byproduct of making Pinkster. Now here, what we're going to taste now is the elderflower and raspberry. Obviously, the raspberry element comes from the raspberries from Pinkster. We also make an elderflower liqueur. All the elderflowers are hand picked, foraged. A lot come from my garden and surrounding hedgerows. We're busy planting orchards, elderflower orchards, so that we can make this in larger quantities. The elderflower season is May. It's roughly about 4 weeks. It's normally in May, and it's all done by hand. So it's quite labour intensive, but I think you'll find it's worth it. So what we're going to do is we're going to taste it. So if we open the bottle and pour a little in, and have a sniff, and you'll get you get a strong nose there of elderflower, and the elderflower is pretty dominant at that stage. Then have a taste, and on the tongue, again, there's a lot of elderflower there, with strong raspberry undertones. The raspberry supports the elderflower. There is obviously more elderflower than raspberry in this particular one, but very, very, very pleasant. And then if we try that with some ice, so just find a small thing of ice to go in there, and as before, I want it to dilute it, it's a lovely colour. It's very summery, and you can see, if you hold it up, you can see the ice. You can see the ice diluting the liquid. So then have another sip. It's slightly broader. Again, still very, very strong elderflower, supported by the raspberry. Really very, very easy to drink. Now to serve this with a mixer, we're going to put in some Mexican lime. This is a soda, so there's no quinine. Those people who say they don't like gin and tonics, what they generally mean is that actually they don't like the quinine in tonic. So the sodas don't have any quinine. So I'm just going to add a relatively decent sum of that. I mean, we recommend serving this on a 1 to 4 basis. So 25 ml, half of this bottle, with 100 ml, which is half of this bottle. Still an absolutely lovely colour. And then if you have a sip of that, just lovely. The Mexican lime works incredibly well with the elderflower and the raspberries. And if you haven't got Mexican lime, don't worry too much about it. It works very well with sparkling water and a squeeze of lime. But I think this is hard to beat, I have to say. Really, really, really good. And then we garnish it with a little wedge of lime. Here's one I prepared earlier, and aesthetically that looks fantastic. The lime at this stage is not going to add much by way of flavour to it. It is about aesthetics at this stage with the garnish, but I think that's absolutely delicious. Now, that in your glass. That in your glass is about a third of the alcohol of a glass of wine, the equivalent quantity of wine, and it's about a third of the equivalent calories. So if you think of that, of a glass of that being the equivalent of about 3 glasses of wine, you're probably in the right region. And I think it's really clean and refreshing. I think in the warm weather, I can get through a lot of that. I've now got to come up with a decent winter serve for it, but at the moment, with summer weather, I think that's really, really, really delicious and really easy to drink. We have another variety too, as I mentioned earlier, which is raspberry and hibiscus. Now I would serve that in exactly the same way. I didn't put both of them into the tasting because I didn't want to overload it. The raspberry and hibiscus has much stronger raspberry flavour, slightly fewer calories. There's I think 3 fewer calories per shot. There's no added sugar in the raspberry and hibiscus, whereas there is a gram or 2 of sugar in the elderflower and raspberry. But both I would serve exactly the same way. They're both 24%. I think they're absolutely delicious. So I hope you enjoy that. Now we're going to move on next to a Pinkster cocktail. I think it's one of my favourite cocktails, and it's a Pinkster Gimlet. So the Pinkster Gimlet, one of my favourite all-time cocktails. I think absolutely delicious, incredibly easy to make. Now, before we taste this, I'm actually going to show you how to make the cocktail. So, and what I need to make this, I need some Pinkster. I need some lime. I've actually squeezed a lime earlier. That's the juice of one lime, and I've got some sugar syrup that I made earlier, and I need some Pinkster Spritz, the raspberry and a hibiscus. It's incredibly easy to make, and the details will be on our website and on the end of this video. So what I've got here is a Boston shaker. It's a 2-part shaker. Really incredibly easy to use. Frankly, you could do this in a jam jar. You could do anything with a lid. All we're doing is mixing the ingredients. So what I'm going to do first of all is I'm going to take some ice, and because it's just me, I'm going to use my hands. I'm going to throw some ice in the shaker, and then I'm going to take 50 ml of Pinkster. I just happen to have another of the little minis here, so I'm going to do. And this is effectively 2 parts Pinkster. 2 parts Pinkster. I've got the juice of a lime, and that's just over. It's actually just under 30 ml, which is absolutely fine. So I'm going to put the juice of a lime in there, and then I am going to take my sugar syrup, and I'm going to do 25 ml of sugar syrup, and then I'm going to do, so that's 2 parts Pinkster, 1 part lime juice approximately, 1 part sugar syrup, and I'm going to do half a part of the gimlet. So I'm going to do about 12.5 ml of the spritzer. And as you can see, I'm really doing that to add some colour to it. It does add an extra intense raspberry flavour to it, but really the reason I'm doing that, adding that, is for the colour. So I've got all that in the glass. I'm then going to put it in there and just shake it. Very important when you do this to make sure that you have actually got them attached together, because it can be a bit of a bore when you then try and. So that wasn't a big shake. That was, relatively straightforward. Having done that, I am then going to take my wine glass, and this is the point at which you can take a wine glass, fill your wine glass with ice, and I'm just going to, ice and all, I'm going to pour the entire lot into my glass. Now, I think that looks delicious, but it'll look even better. So if you fill your wine glass with ice, pour in your Pinkster Gimlet from your bottle of it, and I'm gonna pour that in. I've garnished it with lime. I think that's absolutely delicious. Now, unfortunately, I've put so much in there I can't top it up with mineral water. I actually really like this as it is. I think you have a taste of it. I think that's absolutely delicious. Again, this is a drink in hot weather I could drink a lot of. I think really nice. I'm getting lots of lime. And the reason I did slightly more lime, I was happy to do slightly more lime than sugar syrup, because I don't want too much sugar. If I didn't have that sugar syrup in there, it would be unbalanced. But I know that for my wife that would be way too strong, So she likes to add, or she likes me to add for her a dash of sparkling water, and so I would top this up with sparkling water. I'm quite happy going easy on the water, I have to say. So I think that's absolutely delicious. Though I should warn you, it is delicious, and like many delicious alcoholic cocktails, they can run away with you. So I hope you like that. And that's so simple to make. The recipe is on both on our website and on this video, and I hope you're enjoying the glass of gimlet you have in your hand. Now, so we started this at the very dry end, the very our pink triple juniper classic, very very dry. We're going to move on now, and we're going to end with a liqueur, the Hedgepig, Wild Bullace, and Quince liqueur. So we start at the dry, and we're going to end with the sweet. So for that, you're going to need the Hedgepig, Wild Bullace, and Quince liqueur bottle. You're going to need the ginger ale, and you're going to need an orange and a peeler and ice. So the Hedgepig, Wild Bullace, and Quince liqueur is a gin liqueur, and before we taste it, I'll tell you a little bit about it. Wild Bullace is a wild hedgerow plum. It was very very popular in the 19th century. It grows prolifically in East Anglia, and actually grows quite prolifically in other parts of the country. It was incredibly popular in the 19th century, went completely out of favour during the First World War. So what we have now, and it's growing in hedgerows, occasionally find very mature trees in cottage gardens and things like that. What we have left now is a hangover from the century before last, and it's a little yellow, starts quite white, ends up sort of yellowy brown in the hedgerows. They're very very sweet, and I think absolutely delicious, but they're really quite difficult to spot, and they're not grown commercially yet. I'm busy planting orchards of them, but I think they're absolutely delicious. Quince, obviously a member of the apple family, and most people will have come across quince, but very few people actually have come across Wild Bullace. I think as a combination they work incredibly well. So let's try some. So if you open the bottle, and what we're going to do is we're going to try this slightly differently, because we're not going to taste it with ice, etc. We're going to try it first of all neat and warm, effectively. So I'm going to put some in my glass and have a sniff. Now, when you do that, you get sort of honey notes and sort of some sweetness, some lovely, very very pleasant plummy notes on the nose, and really really delicious. So then have a sip and swirl it around your mouth. Again, really really nice. I'm getting quite a lot of quince. I'm getting some plummy notes, and the Wild Bullace is a wild plum. It's a really good combination. This is about 30% ABV, so it's quite strong for a liqueur, but it holds it. I think it holds it really well. Now, this quince obviously is well known for going incredibly well with cheese. It's very very difficult fruit to work with. In Spain they have membrillo, which is a sort of quince paste which you eat with cheese. This as an accompaniment to cheese, neat like that, I think is absolutely outstandingly good, really hard to beat, absolutely delicious. It complements a strong cheese really well. I mean, absolutely delicious. And if this was quince on its own, and I started off by I made a quince liqueur, and I thought it was nice, but I felt it was a bit one dimensional and didn't really. It wasn't quite as good. So I thought it could be better. Now I had had a wild Bullace liqueur, and I thought it was fantastic, but it's really difficult to get. And I found some, and I made some, and I thought, what happens if I blend them, and this is what we end up with, and I think it's absolutely delicious. And I've had 2 masters of wine tell me it's outstanding. One of them started talking about terroir, which in wine terms is a bit like playing sort of bingo. It's high scoring word. So I think really, really good. There are about 7 or 8 quince gins on the market, and I've tried them. And I couldn't quite understand why my quince gin before we blend it, I felt was a lot better than the other things in the market, and this is going to sound terribly modest. But then somebody tried to sell me some quince juice, and I thought, great, because actually making this is really, really hard work. Quince, really tough. We dice them. Now, anybody who's tried cutting up quince will understand how much we look forward to dicing a ton of quince. We get through. We have new knives every year. We blunt them. It's really hard work dicing quince, and then what we do, we make it a very traditional way. We put the quince in some tanks with the triple juniper, which you tried at the beginning, and with some sugar, and we let them sit for a very long time. And I couldn't understand why what we were doing was coming up with such a different result to what other people were producing. And it turns out everybody else is using quince juice. Now the difference is actually in the skin. It's well accepted, and winemakers know it, but there's a lot of flavour in skins. And we don't peel the quince. That would really be quite perverse. So we put them in the tanks, skin and all, and it's the skin that really makes a difference. They sit there for quite a long time, and it's the skin that gives off a lot of the additional flavour. So I think this works incredibly well. Neat. It also, I have to say, makes a really good long drink, and that's why we've got the ginger ale. And I have to say, in when the nights are drawing in, this is a favourite tipple. So I'm going to open the can, and I'm going to add some ginger ale, and then I'm going to add some ice to it. Now the reason I didn't add ice and taste it colder earlier, as we have done with all the other drinks we've tried this evening, is because the general rule is that gins made with stone fruit are better at ambient temperature. Both quince and plum are stone fruits, and therefore they're better at ambient temperature. It's fine doing it as a long drink, but if you're going to drink it neat, you don't want to reduce the temperature. And actually, with a stone fruit, and I'm not quite sure why it's just with stone fruit this happens, as opposed to top fruit, soft fruit, so raspberries, soft fruit, which they are better colder. But if it's a stone fruit, it's better warmer. That's why they have brandy glasses, and they're that shape. So the warmth of your hand will warm the liquid, and that's very similar to this. Now, I think that works incredibly well with ginger ale as a long drink. So have a sip of that. I think that's it's very, very easy to drink. And again, we're going to garnish this with another batch of orange peel. And again, I'm going to twist the orange peel, stick it in. Not only does it look fantastic, but actually that orange really complements the ginger ale and the wild Bullace and Quince. So I think it's absolutely delicious. And I have to say, it's a night straw in. That is a really, really good long drink. So it's a very versatile liqueur. Again, it's obviously at 30%. It's lower in ABV than many other drinks, and I like to drink that on a 1 to 2 basis. So because I don't want to drown it with a ginger ale. I think it works very well. We produce a number of other Hedgepig liqueurs. I think this is the pick of the bunch. So we have Cambridge Gauge, which is much more plummy. We have a glorious gooseberry. Now, gooseberries, people either really like gooseberries or they really don't like gooseberries. Very hesitate to say Marmite in case anybody thinks I make it with Marmite. But people either like gooseberries or love them or loathe them. And we make a zesty elderflower, and which again, absolutely superb, straight out of the freezer. A great summer drink. Whereas I think this is a great winter drink. Although I have to say, neat, I will drink this all year round with cheese. Absolutely superb. But I thank you very much for watching this evening. I hope you've enjoyed it. And if you have, if there's anything you've tasted this evening that you would like to buy larger bottles of, it's all available on our website, pinkstergin.com, in the shop there. And but bar the Gimlet, if you'd like to buy the Gimlet, actually the company called the Cocktail Market, whose details will appear at the end and also appear on our website, they sell the Gimlet in 3 litre bag-in boxes, party packs, as well as in smaller bottles. But otherwise, everything else is available on our website. I hope you've enjoyed this evening with Pinkster Gin, and I look forward to meeting you again.